A very good afternoon to everyone. I'm Shweta, and it's my pleasure to welcome all of you to this webinar and discussion. Let me begin by thanking all of you for showing the interest and joining this discussion. I would also like to take a moment to introduce you to my colleagues Mokshada and Aditya, who are co-authors of this study. We have about 150 participants on the webinar from a wide range of backgrounds, from students, researchers, professionals to civil society activists. I'm sure the discussions will be rich and diverse. I will briefly introduce today's topic and plan for the next hour or so. In today's webinar, we will be presenting and discussing key insights on air conditioner purchase and usage, which are based on a survey of 1,500 households in 5 Tier 2 cities across India. The presentation will last for about 20 minutes, in which we will present our analysis and findings from the survey, followed by a question and answer session. A note for all of you is that we request all of you to ask your questions during the presentation or at the end by typing them out in the Q&A window, which is located on the bottom panels of your screen. Please do not use the chat window for asking questions. Any clarification questions on the presentation will be answered through the Q&A window during the presentation itself. Please do mention the slide number wherever applicable. We will discuss questions of broader nature during the Q&A session after the presentation. We will collate questions of similar nature and take them up together. We will have up to half an hour for the question and answer session, and we'll try to answer as many questions as possible. We will now turn off our videos to save out on bandwidth. And with that, let me hand over the control to Mokshada and request her to make her presentation. Over to you, Mokshada.
Thank you, Shweta. Before I launch into our key learnings from the survey, I would like to introduce you to why was there a need for conducting such a study in the first place. There are multiple studies that project rising demand for space cooling in the future, as also shown by the International Energy Alliance, IEA's Future of Cooling report and the India Cooling Action Plan, the ICAP. IEA projects a 15-fold increase in India's cooling-related electricity consumption from 2016 to 2050. And during this time period, they project that the contribution of space cooling to India's peak electricity demand will increase from 10% to 45%. The ICAP also projects a 4-fold increase in space cooling related energy requirement. And they also believe that by 2038, 50% of the total space cooling demand will come from air conditioners in India. This increase is expected to be driven by the residential sector. Thus, there exists a potential for demand for space cooling appliances, especially ACs, to increase. And this increase will cause an enormous strain on India's power system by not only pushing up the overall electricity demand, but also by increasing peak demand. This increase can be checked through promoting the use of less energy consuming space cooling appliances, such as fans, coolers, and finally promoting the adoption of energy efficient ACs and through their conservative use. ECBC, Energy Conservation Building Codes, and Standards and Labeling Program by BE are initiatives in this direction. But in absence of insights on household behavior related to ACs, framing successful policies and programs for checking this increase in demand is not possible. Thus, we undertook this study to add to the limited body of literature that exists for understanding usage and purchase behavior for air conditioners. 5 Tier 2 cities were chosen across India on basis of multiple criteria. The definition that we use for Tier 2 cities is the one that the government of India utilizes, where they categorize cities as X or Y for granting house rent allowance to central government employees. Cities categorized as Y are the ones that we consider as Tier 2 cities. 1,500 households were surveyed in total and 300 households across each city. The multiple criteria that we used were economic activity, region, and climatic zone. For instance, Kochi and Nagpur correspond to warm and humid climate, while Patna and Ghaziabad correspond to a composite type of climate, and Vadodara is known for having hot and dry climate. The survey was conducted between December 2019 and February 2020. And the questions that we asked were on demographics such as family size, building characteristics, AC ownership attributes such as number, type, tonnage, buying behavior such as more making, and usage features such as hours and months of for usage, etc. Among the surveyed households, the average household size varies from 4 to 6 people, and its maximum in Patna at 6. 82% of the respondents reside in independent houses or bungalows, and the rest live in apartments. MPC.
Looks like a small technical glitch. Give us a moment.
Am I audible now? Okay, all right. So I'm going to pick up from demographics, and I'll continue with where I was in terms of the monthly per capita expenditure. So the monthly per capita expenditure works out to be around 5,900 rupees across the sample. And it's highest in Kochi and lowest in Patna. We also found that 37% of the households in the sample own multiple ACs, that is more than one AC. And this proportion is the highest in Patna at 51% and lowest in Nagpur at 25%. Now we'll move to some key insights from our survey. We use the MPC values of urban areas of the states to which these cities that we surveyed belong from the 68th round of the NSSO survey, which was conducted in 2012. So using these MPC values, we inflate the numbers to 2019 values and compare them to the average MPC according to our sample. Our C of the sample households is quintile of all urban households, except for Vadodara, where it's actually greater, where the average from a sample actually works out to be greater than the 5th quintile. Thus, middle income households who ideally lie in Q4 and Q3 will be able to afford ACs in the future. But this does not mean that income is a defining factor. It just means that income will not be a limiting factor for purchase of ACs in the future for middle income households. The total sample consists of 2,142 air conditioners. And we analyzed the features of this stock of ACs and found that 70% of the total stock are split type ACs, wherein split type inverter ACs dominate primarily, and the rest are window ACs. In Ghaziabad, however, the dominant type of ACs are window ACs, where 64% of the households own only window ACs. In Kochi, however, we find that 99% of the stock is actually split type. When coming to tonnage, 68% of the air conditioners are 1.5 ton in size, while only 27% are 1 ton. This pattern holds across most of the cities except for Kochi, where it gets reversed, such that 78% of the stock is actually 1 ton in size. Most of the stock is under 5 years of age, and the average age of inverter ACs works out to be around 3 years because they're relatively newer. And this is expected since inverter ACs only emerged on the Indian market 5 to 6 years back. We also find from the analysis of the stock that the most common type of star rating is a 3-star AC. 44% of the air conditioners are 3-star, followed by 5-star and then 4-star. This indicates that there is a higher uptake of ACs with a lower efficiency, and thus there is a need to promote energy efficient ACs. Currently, awareness about programs which do promote the purchase of energy efficient ACs is low. As we can see, less than 10% of the households know about the EESL program, which is basically a program by EESL to sell super efficient ACs at a discounted price online. And only 14% of the households know about the BE app, which is a mobile app which can help consumers search and compare star-rated appliances in order to make a better informed purchase decision. We also, using the AC features that were reported by households, computed the usage hours, and we replaced the most used AC by the super efficient EESL AC, and we found that there can be a reduction in consumption of up to 35%, and this number can go as high as 50% of their consumption can be reduced, and that is for households who have higher usage hours. This basically just shows that additional interventions are required to get households to purchase higher rated efficient models. Further, we also inquired from households about what influences their decision while purchasing an AC. What we find is that multiple factors influence buying decisions with varying relative importance across cities. 50% of the households in the sample cite insufficient cooling from their previous appliances as the most important factor that prompted them to buy an AC. And this factor is especially important in Kochi because, considering the climate that Kochi experiences, other cooling appliances might not be as effective in such a city, making households resort to air conditioners. The other important effects are, we noticed that 40% of the sample actually reports most friends and family owning an AC also an important influencing factor. This signals the bandwagon effect, which is basically where consumers demand a commodity only in order to conform with their peers or the people that they want to be associated with, leading to an increase in the demand of the commodity. 40% of the sample also cites advertising as an influencing factor. Price-related factors such as availability of EMI and price discount also matter to almost 33 to 39% of the sample by purchasing an AC. We asked households to rank factors in order of importance for their choice of AC, and brand emerged as the most important factor across all cities. Price was an important factor, the second most important factor for Kochi, Nagpur, and Vadodara. And energy efficiency was the second most important factor in Ghaziabad. So clearly, for programs that promote energy efficiency, there is a need for a regional level analysis and a state level disaggregation so that these programs are more localized for better outcomes. A national campaign could have worked for LED bulbs, but perhaps not for ACs. So basically, a national program, but complemented by a localized campaign as well, might be successful in promoting the uptake of energy efficient air conditioners. Households that purchase their ACs online are very small in number. Only 12 out of 1,500 in our sample actually purchase their AC online. And they don't seem very positive in purchasing their future AC online either, because only 8% of the sample wants to do so in the future. The primary reason that households aren't willing to do so is because 70% trust the in-store purchase that happens when you buy an appliance in person. And this kind of a trust factor needs to be programs such as EESL, where they're selling super efficient ACs online, need to be cognizant of such factors because their program currently is focused online with a small limited offline presence. So they need to promote their program in such a way that they can cater to people's issues and people's fear of not purchasing online. Further, we also found out that across the cities, most households rely on themselves for guessing the for estimating the size of the AC, either by calculating it on their own or by guessing it on their own. And this is a problem because an undersized AC will lead to discomfort and thus higher usage hours, and an oversized AC will also cause usage hours to go up. There are sizing tools available, but people aren't aware, and there needs to be done more in order to ensure this happens in an optimal manner. In fact, through a regression analysis as well, we found that for a household that uses an undersized AC, their annual usage hours are likely to go up by 54 hours annually, as against if they were owning a correctly sized AC. From usage hours that have been reported by households, we find that AC usage is restrained with significant variation across cities in usage patterns. The average annual usage of all the ACs in the sample stock is about 1,077 hours. And these numbers are significantly less than BE's assumption of 1,600 hours, which these numbers are used by BE to calculate the Indian seasonal energy efficiency ratio, which is used as a criteria to determine star ratings. The 1,250 kilowatt hour, and Kochi consumes the least at around 800 kilowatt hour per year. But this is primarily because of the stock of ACs in Kochi, which is 1 ton in size and higher efficiency models. Patna, on the other hand, consumes the highest with 2,550 kilowatt hour per year. Increase in a number of ACs corresponds with an increase in aggregate electricity consumption. And there is significant variation in terms of households in Ghaziabad, Patna, and Nagpur, for instance, use their ACs only for 4 to 5 months. But households in Vadodara and Kochi end up using it for almost 7 months of a year. And in general, we notice that weekend usage hours are actually higher than weekday usage hours across all cities. We also conducted a regression analysis to examine the impact that various factors have on annual usage hours of the most used AC. And we found that location, building material, MPC, and star rating are important variables in influencing annual usage hours. So much so that if a house was made of autoclaved concrete, that is a C4X, instead of brick, they would use their ACs for 120 hours, their most used AC for 120 hours lesser annually. And if a house was made of concrete instead of brick, then they would end up using their AC for 180 hours more on an annual basis. Higher the star rating, more likely is a household to use it for longer hours. Given the usage hours that people report and the expected lifetimes that they report as well, we try to estimate a simple payback period if they were to replace their AC with a super efficient ESL AC or a normal 5-star AC. But because of low usage hours, the payback period is really high, so there hardly seems to be an incentive for these households. We also found that the average air conditioner temperature that it's set at in our sample is around 21 degrees Celsius. These current initiatives encourage setting the AC at 24 degrees Celsius, and but we find in our sample that only 19% of the entire sample actually sets their ACs at 24 degrees or above. This percentage is really low in Patna at 3%. And only recently, BE has mandated a default temperature setting in all room ACs will be 24 degrees. This is a step in the right direction, and this will probably ensure more households will set their ACs 24 degrees or above. To understand how households perceive their usage of an air conditioner conditioner and the impact that it has, we inquired whether they are aware about the negative environmental impact of, are actually aware and agree that the use of ACs has a negative impact on the environment. This awareness is really high in Vadodara and Ghaziabad, and it's the least in Nagpur. And majority of these households, their AC usage either always or for out of concern for the environment, which you can see is especially high in Nagpur and Kochi. However, what we find through our regression analysis is that this awareness about the environmental impact of using air conditioners is a significant variable, but households who say that they are aware of the environmental impact of an AC end up using it for 141 hours more annually than those who are not aware. Finally, we noticed that there is an extremely heavy reliance on local companies for AC servicing. 72% of our sample actually services their AC at least once a year. This percentage is highest in Kochi at 86%. And the issue is that only 27% get their service. The proposal under the Skills India mission is actually a step in the right direction for this very reason, because these will be formally certified air conditioner service technicians. In conclusion, more middle income households may buy air conditioners in the future, and income will definitely not be a limiting factor to see more popular. And awareness about programs which promote energy efficiency is also low. The average use of an air conditioner is restrained, and multiple factors influence the choice and the decision of purchasing an air conditioner. Hence, there is a need for localized awareness programs, which under a national campaign. The temperature setting and AC servicing are two spaces in which there are initiatives being taken in the right direction. However, there still is a requirement to have more insights on usage behavior and purchase behavior in order to inform programs and future policies. These were just some of the key insights from our report. You can refer to the actual report for more in terms of insights and further detailed analysis, which has been uploaded on our website. I'll now hand over to Shweta for the Q&A session.
Yeah, thank you, Mokshada. And apologies to all the participants today for the little technical glitches we all experienced in the voice. I think it's given for all webinars. We will now take up the questions that we have received. And as stated earlier, we will collate questions of similar nature and take them up together. If you have any more questions, please send them in through the Q&A window. But we suggest that your questions be of a broad nature so they are of interest to all. We can also take up specific questions bilaterally with you after the webinar. I will now begin by asking the first set of questions and comments that we've received. Aditya will lead in discussing them, while Mokshada and I will add in as and where needed. So over to you, Aditya. Two questions that we would begin with is, firstly, do you foresee any impact of COVID-19 on the usage, purchase of air conditioners? And the other is the MPC estimations in your report suggest that all of 20% of urban population will buy air conditioners. Is that true?
Thank you, Shweta. Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for attending the webinar. Before I move to the questions, I would like to reiterate the last point that Mokshada made. Uh, and the point is about we need better understanding of consumer behavior, and not only to design policies and programs that are aimed at managing the AC demand, but also to periodically assess their impact. I mean, has the behavior changed? Are people buying more efficient ACs or not? So we need to assess their impact. And from that point of view, understanding and periodic understanding of consumer behavior is very important. And also going ahead, we also realize that tightening the standards, although it is very important, it's not sufficient. I mean, we need to go beyond that to get people to buy high efficient models. We need, like Mokshita said, we need more localized programs. And these programs will not only to make sure that households buy efficient ACs, but also use them in optimum manner, in a sense that service it well, set temperatures right, and maybe in the future also participate in demand response programs. So more so such research and also policies based on research are needed if we want to manage the future AC demand. So having said that, I'll move to the two questions that Shweta asked. I mean, one is, of course, what will be the impact of COVID-19? Now, the thing is that we did this survey before COVID-19, and in December, it looks like it was another world. We didn't know what was going to hit us. But uh, it's purely of a speculative nature of what will happen to demand of ACs in post or whatever during COVID-19, because one, it has impacted different people in different ways. For example, for some people, it might result in change or in a permanent change in their work culture, which would mean that they would spend more time in their houses, and that may result in them buying more ACs. On the other hand, with loss of jobs, with loss of source of income, people may delay their decisions to buy ACs. So it's very uncertain what and how the current COVID-19 pandemic would affect the behavior related to AC. But what we do think is that what the decisions that we make during this time, for example, we stick to a schedule of tightening the standards and not delay it, or even if we delay it, then we delay it by a reasonable measure and not a significant time. I mean, decisions like this will have some long-term impacts because it will result in whatever stock that is being bought in 1 or 2 years, whether that will be efficient or not. So long story short, there is a possibility that maybe in 3 or 4 years, things may get back to normal, and whatever people may start buying ACs as they are buying right now. But as of now, it's very speculative. The only certain part is we need to be very careful about the decisions that we make right now. So that's about the COVID-19 question. About the MPC question, I mean, so uh, I want to start by saying that we are not saying that 20% of urban population in these states will buy ACs, because we were surprised to find that the monthly per capita expenditure of these households was lesser than the average of the top 20 percentile. And what all that we want to say is that income, and what Mokshada said, that income may not be the limiting factor. It is of course not a defining factor. There are many number of reasons why people would buy AC, but all that we are saying that income may not be a limiting factor, and hence there's a chance that more middle income households will buy ACs in future.
Thank you, Aditya. Um, the other two questions that I'm going to ask in line is one, did you ask any questions in the survey related to the demand response program? And do you also see post-COVID people would be more receptive to such initiatives? And the second is that the results on awareness on environmental impact and the factors that influence decision making don't appear to match. For example, in Kochi, the priority for energy efficiency was low, yet people understand environmental impacts of ACs, which was high. If we have any articulation on that. And continuing that same question is, what kind of environmental impacts were mentioned in the survey?
Okay, so I'll take the first question about demand response. Yes, we did ask people whether they would be interested in participating in a demand response program. It was quite challenging to explain the program to them, but we did make sure that surveyors uh, did do a good job of explaining what the program would be, and that would be in a short that uh, during certain times of the day, a utility may ask you to either switch off your ACs or maybe reduce your temperature. It can either be done manually or through some kind of sensor or instrument in your AC, which can be controlled by the DISCOM. And at all time, you will have an overriding as in you can always override whatever decision that utility has taken. So we did all this explaining, and what we did find out that people were, it was a mixed response. I mean, some people were concerned about the privacy and loss of control of their AC usage and whether that will cause inconvenience to them. Some people were more interested in what incentives or how it will benefit them. And there were another set of households who were also concerned about whether this kind of program will damage their AC. And all of these options were not prompted to them. They came with their own responses. So what we found out was there were kind of a number of concerns about this program, and any kind of designing of this program would need a very careful designing to address all these concerns, talking with consumers and see what kind of questions they have. Now, whether post COVID-19 consumers will be more ready to participate in this program, I mean, it's anyone's guess. We won't be able to say anything, like I mentioned in the previous question. The second question on environment awareness. I mean, yes, we do agree that what people say, and I think it's not what only we have found, but another studies have also found, but what people say that yes, use of AC impacts the environment, and what they actually do may not be completely in sync. For example, what Mokshada mentioned in her presentation, we actually found that people who did realize or did agree that AC impacts the environment in negative way, they were actually found to be using AC more than people who did not. So that is something we need. It's very tricky, and we need to see how we can design awareness program which not only results in awareness about the usage of the impact of usage of AC, but also in actual actions. So that would be, I think, yes, that would be my answer to the second question.
Okay, I have two more here. Is what percentage of the total ACs sold in India are bought by tier 2 cities? And second would be, the survey was conducted in December and January. So how confident are you about the response of usage reported by households?
Okay, so for the first question, one thing is there's again there's very limited data on sales. In fact, on the total sales of AC, let alone region-wise sales of AC. But we did find one report by one of these securities companies who put that number, the share of the total AC sales in India to tier 2 cities, and that's around 50 to 55%. And that's one of the reasons why we did focus on tier 2 cities. The other being that a lot of focus till now has been on the metros like Delhi and Mumbai, and there's not enough information of what's happening in tier 2 cities. So that's that. Second, very valid question: how comfortable we are, or how confident we are about if we are doing this survey in December, whether people have said something about, as in how right it would be, whether they would be able to recollect their usage in May. But I mean, that's a limitation of the survey. And I would say that even if we did it in May or right after the summer, that lag would always be there. And one other thing that we are doing, not as a part of this survey, is that we have a small sample of households where we have actually installed meters which record minute-wise data to see, what's the kind of difference between what people recollect on what their usage is and what the actual usage is. And maybe if possible, if we can come up with some kind of correction factor. But yes, I agree that would be a limitation of the survey, and we would hope that consumers or households have recollected to the best knowledge possible.
Thanks, Aditya. Let's just do with a few more questions. We've got plenty of them, but with the time limitation. So one is, any ideas on how to make policies and programs to manage demand in a people-centric manner, especially given that most consumers regard ACs as a necessity, and most solution stocks seem to be to manage behavior. This is one. And second is, do you have data on what percentage respondents were first-time AC buyers?
Okay, I'll answer the second question first. The answer is no, because we did not ask that question in our survey. But we did find out that the average age of the ACs was around 5 years, 3 or 4 years. Now it might be that people are replacing their ACs, but yes, we did not ask the question about first-time buyers. On the first question, it's very, there's no clear answer, but it needs more thinking on what. So if I understood the question right, it said that what are the policies that we would require that focus on behavior more than only the supply side of ACs. But I mean, something would be, for example, and it would be a mix of something that is happening on national level as something that is happening on local level. For example, if you design programs that are local policies and programs that on local level, which take inputs from local level surveys and what local level consumer behavior is, that would be something good. One example of what BE is doing is this whole making 24 degrees mandatory, as in setting it as a default temperature whenever you set an AC. That is a good example of how policies focusing on behavior can be designed or can be implemented, but more such thinking is required.
Thanks once again. Let's just take one last question, because a lot of questions that we've received are related to it, which is in terms of buying of 5-star or energy efficient ACs. So I'm just trying to collate all of the questions together, which is on the lines that 5-star ACs are economically not affordable. And yes, and hence we don't see very high penetration. At the same time, although EESL has launched these programs, it has not yet gained popularity. Can you comment?
Okay, so that was it's a kind of a tricky thing, because what we did observe, and I think Mokshada also mentioned in her presentation, we did calculate payback periods on given the current usage hours. If the household has to replace their existing AC, with a 5-star AC or with a super efficient AC, what would it mean in terms of payback periods? And we are talking about simple paybacks, and we did find that the payback period was considerably high. In fact, the average expectation was around 10 years, and average expectation of life of AC was around 10 years. And we find in some cases the payback period can go as high as 6 or 7 years. So that's hardly an incentive for people to buy more efficient ACs. Now, the reason for that is because people are using it in a restrained manner. And so in a way, the total electricity consumption due to ACs is in a way less than what, it's kind of buying a highly efficient AC and using it for more hours, as compared to buying a maybe less efficient AC and using it for less number of hours. So it's a very tricky thing to do, and maybe what uh, possibly the thing would be, again, this whole idea of going localized, as in places, for example, in places like Pune, maybe we come up with different kind of payback calculations, whereas in places like Mumbai or Chennai or Delhi, where the usage is expected to be high, maybe those are the places which are where we focus all our efforts on the uptake of energy efficient appliances, because it makes both an economic as well as an environmental justification. So that would be my answer to that question.
Great. Thanks, Aditya, once again. We have received a few more questions, but I think some of them are very specific and some very general. So we'll take the efforts to reply to those questions offline over email. So I would like to thank all of you for attending the webinar today. And I would like to end by saying that the report, the data set, the codebook are all available on the Prayas Energy Group website. We will be sending you an email with a recording of the webinar and the link to the report soon. I hope all of you found the webinar interesting and also the study useful. So thank you and goodbye. Hope all of you have a safe time and a safe stay home. Thank you.
Thank you.